you are likely to make a poor career choice and a poor career decision. Like a doctor diagnosing a patient, you want to get it right the first time. Because you don't want a situation like that American president and Dr. Bliss. So what do we need to do? We need to start setting SMART goals. I'm going to be showing you 2 video clips. SMART goals. Have you heard of the acronym SMART? S-M-A-R-T. What does SMART stands for? Specific. Measurable. Achievable. Realistic. Some say relevant. And time bound. Excellent. So, in simple form, I'll show you how it's supposed to be done. We all know that this is how it's supposed to be done, but let's see in practical form. And then I'll show you another video clip of Jack Ma.
Hey kings and queens, I'm sure most of you have dreams, but in order to make them come true, dreaming is usually not enough. There is a great method called SMART, which helps you set goals wiser and transform your dreams into concrete goals. Instead of being far away, your dreams become achievable. SMART criteria means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific. You should know exactly what you want. Not kind of, not almost, but exactly. Vague goals are much harder to achieve, so you need to define them as clearly as you can. This way you will know what you need to do in order to get what you want. But if your goal is vague, you will be confused. I want to be rich. That's not well defined. Instead, say I want to earn $8,000 per month with my online business and own a house which I will rent for $1,000 a month. You can be even more specific than that and write down more details. Measurable. How would you know if you achieved your goal? Think of ways to measure your progress. Break your larger goals into smaller ones so you can know whenever you accomplish something. I want to be a singer. That's not measurable. What defines a singer? Who decides what makes someone a singer, and how can you know if you become one? Some ways to measure your progress towards this dream can be writing a song, releasing an album, performing in front of an audience, or getting paid to perform. One side note, the fact that you make music and do what you love is already a huge success. Attainable. I've gotta say something about this one. I'm in favor of dreaming big and aiming high. My dreams are far beyond the sky. After all, everything is impossible before it happens. People used to think that everything that can be invented has been invented, but new things are still being invented day after day, and yet you need to feel the progress. You need to see that you accomplish things along the way. Your dreams can be as crazy as you want, but set sub-goals that will push you to keep going. Focus more on what's in your control and less on the final result. For example, instead of "I want that there will be no more poverty in the world," focus on people you want to help to, events you want to organize, donation you can collect, a charity organization you can establish, and so on. Relevant. Why do you do what you do? Does it help you move towards your goal? Make sure that the actions you take are relevant. I want $150,000 a year. Okay, but for what? So I can have a financial freedom. So I can save up enough money for retirement. So I can donate and help people. Know the answer for why you want what you want and think if the steps you take are relevant and really push you forward. Time-bound. If you don't set deadlines, you have unlimited time to achieve your goals and you lose focus. Once you set a schedule or a deadline, you become committed. That's why many people become super productive or finish their tasks at the last minute. I want to have 10,000 subscribers. Okay, I can have them 20 years from now. So one of my goals is, I want to have 10,000 subscribers before November. Now that I have a deadline, I can see what actions I can take in order to achieve that. Upload more frequently, collaborate with other YouTubers, advertise my channel, and many other options. So like I said before, don't use it the wrong way of dreaming small or only desire things that seem achievable. On the contrary, think outside of the box and don't be afraid to dream big. The SMART criteria is a great tool that can help you focus and be practical. Thank you for watching.
SMART. S stands for to be specific. So we have to be clear in our mind exactly what we want to do. M stands for measurable. So you must be able to measure what you're going to be doing. If you cannot measure it, then it's going to be a waste of time. A stands for attainable. So it must be something that must be within your reach. Although the goals that you set must not be so simple that it's easy to achieve it. So it mustn't, the rung that you are going to, or the ladder that you're going to be climbing, mustn't be so low that without any effort you can reach it. Nor it must be so high that it's impossible and you don't even start. So, attainable. R, relevant or realistic. Again, it must be a realistic goal that you're setting. And finally, it must be time-bound. Okay? So, what we've just discussed will be in the notes that you are given. Please sit down with it and try and implement. How many of you know this gentleman? Anyone? You don't know him? He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. How many of you heard of the company Alibaba? Haven't heard of it? Only one person. Which world are you living in? They all do reading. You do reading. So how come you haven't heard of him? He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. Alibaba is the largest company of its type in China. In the world, it's about number 2 or 3 in its category. And he's worth, I'll show you just now, possibly about 48 billion US dollars. So these are some advices that he gives.
So I told myself and told my young people, before 20 years old, be a good student. When you do entrepreneur, just learn some experience. Before 30 years old, follow somebody. Go to a small company. Normally in a big company, it is good to learn processing. You are a part of a big machine. But when you go to a small company, you learn the passion, you learn the dreams. You learn how to do a lot of things at one time. So before 30 years old, it's not which company you go, it's which boss you follow. It's very important. A good boss teaches you differently. And from 30 to 40 years old, you have to think very clearly when you're working for yourself, if you really want to be an entrepreneur. When you're 40 to 50 years old, you have to do all the things that you are good at. Don't try to drop into the new area. It's too late. You may be successful, but the rate of dying is too big. So 40 to 50, think about how can you focus on things that you are good at. But when you are 50 to 60 years old, work for the young people. Because young people can do better than you. So rely on them, invest on them, making sure they're good. So when you are over 60 years old, spend time for yourself. On the beach, sunshine. Right? It's too late for you to change normally. But this is my advice to the young people. 25 years old, make enough mistakes. Don't worry. You fall, you stand up. You fall, you stand up.
Okay, so that was Jack Ma of the Alibaba Group. Net worth in June 2017 was 41.8 billion US dollars. So what are some of the things that he said that really stood out for you, that maybe you can implement? Make mistakes. When must you make mistakes? When you are young or when you are old? When you are young. If someone says, I've never made a mistake in my life, what does that tell you about that person? He or she has never tried. So I always tell young people, make as many mistakes as you have to, and make them, the younger you make them, the better, as long as you learn from them, right? So even if you want to experiment, if you want to take some risks, take them when you are young. The more mistakes you make, as long as you learn from them, it will make you a better person. Some people just do not want to take risks. They're too scared, but they won't progress. Okay, so that's one of the useful advices he gave. He said up to 25, work hard. 20 to 30, work for a company, and try and work for smaller companies as against bigger companies. Why is that so? Can you learn more diverse things working for large companies or small companies? Small companies. That's a fact. If you work for a large company, say for instance you work for Samsung or someone, and they might have about 2,000 employees, then you probably will be working in one department, in one section of that department, and the entire year you'll just be doing the same thing, day in and day out. However, if you work for a smaller company, maybe it's got about 20 employees, making something similar to what Samsung might be making. There you'll learn much faster. You'll be doing diverse duties. You'll have different things you'll be able to do. And what he said is work for a good boss. And where you work for small companies, sometimes you might have to work for big companies, that's not a problem. But where you work for small companies and you work directly with the boss, you can learn far more than if you work for big companies. So what we must try and do, even if we go into professions, try as far as possible to be an employer and not an employee. Try and be an entrepreneur. So even if you are following a profession, whether you're a lawyer or doctor, accountant, or whether you're a plumber or electrician, whatever you are, for a while you must work for people. Even if you have government jobs, work for the government departments. But your main aim must be thereafter, I must be able to go on my own. I must be able to be my own boss. I must be able to employ others. So even if you're a professional, say you're a doctor, and you're working in the government department, hospital, and after a while you decide to go on your own, or you join some people, have a partnership, and thereafter you start employing people, so you become the employer. Right, you have control of your own life. So that's what he is saying. So whatever occupation it is. Just now we'll be getting our guest, special guest, and she'll be talking about it as well. She'll talk about where she started off, where she lost her job, etc. She had nothing to fall back on, and she started small, and now she's employing dozens and dozens of people. She's an entrepreneur. And if you're over 60, what do? Sit on the beach. Right. Good advice that was? Yes. Excellent. Will we follow that advice? Inshallah. Right, what are some things you can do to prepare yourself for a particular career? Right, let's come back to our careers. What can we do? Go to college, get a job in the field, get training. So what must you do now? You want to choose a correct career for yourself. Firstly, you will have to get education, right? So you'll continue your education. But side by side with that, we must try and work in that industry whenever we get an opportunity, during our school holidays. If you go to university, during our varsity holidays, try and work in the field that you want to enter. What's the reason for that? Absolutely, you'll get to know what that environment is like after working there, even during your holidays, and realize you're not cut out for this. What's the other advantage? You'll get experience. Absolutely, you'll get fantastic experience if you work. And you do not have to work for money. When you are working for someone else and you're trying to get experience, you must volunteer to work for those organizations free of charge. Because if you tell anyone, I want to come and help you, but you don't have to pay me anything, in all probability, will they employ you or not? Will they give you something to do or not? In all probability, they'll do it. So, get a job in the field. And I have found that even my own sons, I've encouraged them, I've arranged jobs for them during their holidays, and it stood them in very, very good stead going forward. Because two of my sons did law as well. So I used to do, during the holidays, during their holidays, varsity holidays, I used to get them work in attorneys' offices for without pay. Attorneys' offices, so for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, they used to work in attorneys' offices, get to know the work, and also do menial work, photocopying, filing, running errands, going to the court, serving documents, etc. So they get to know the nitty-gritty of what the occupation is about, what the work is about. So having almost for the 2 to 3 years of their studies, 4 years of their studies, I used to make arrangements with my attorney friends. They used to go there, one attorney, then the next holiday to another attorney, so they're getting to know how different companies work. One attorney might just be concentrating on civil work. One might be concentrating on legal documents, conveyancing. One might be a criminal lawyer, so you pick up different expertise you get from them. 1 year I couldn't get job for my sons at any attorney's office, but because I was practicing as an advocate, so I arranged for my son to work with a senior advocate. And after you get the position of senior advocate, then you become a judge. So very highly qualified, very, very competent senior advocate. So my son worked with him for about 2 or 3 weeks. This is experience impossible to get. Never get that type of experience. And then, when he finished, he's the elder son, when he finished at varsity, for me to get him articles was very easy. Why was it easy? Why was it easy? You must remember there's lots of applicants and very few vacancies for article clerks. But why was it so easy for him to get with a good firm? Because he had experience. That stood him in very good stead. So he was just able to walk into a very good attorney's office, because lots of things that they would be teaching article clerks when they start their job, he already knew. This is what you need to do. Get a job in the field, whichever field it is, even if you are passionate about humanitarian work. Say you want to do, even you want to become a social worker or something, or maybe you want to join one of the NGOs like Red Cross and Green Crescent and Doctors Without Borders or wherever. If you want to join someone like that, then even during your holidays, volunteer time with an Islamic organization, or could be even a non-Islamic organization, but volunteer your time. So contact Gift of the Givers, contact Al-Imdad, contact organizations in your area. Your schools, they have outreach, winter warm, get involved in that, but try and get involved with other organizations. The more you get involved with the organizations, and then if a vacancy arises in that particular organization, they're looking for someone, they know you. You're top of mind because you're already on the database. Make sense? So, try and get a job in the field and get training. So besides just getting degrees, etc., try and further your studies as well. Like that other boy I mentioned, who has now found his passion in IT. So he was studying law, and eventually he went into IT. So he did these courses. So the short courses are very important as well. Imagine he studied for 6 to 8 years. That took him nowhere. Short course of 4 months, and he's already got a fantastic job. See? So it's not necessarily degrees that will make you successful. Your passion might be lying somewhere else where maybe short courses will assist. Okay, make sense what I'm saying? So these are some of the things that you can do to prepare yourself for a particular career. Right, let's do a self-assessment. When you think about working in your future career, what are your biggest concerns? What scares you the most? What might cause you to get stuck? Write it down in your books, please. What are some of your biggest concerns? Anyone? Okay. That's a real concern. You study, you get a degree, and you don't get a job. Is that a concern? So what will we do then if you're not getting a job? What could be the reason why we don't get a job? Maybe our career choice wasn't correct. Because also what we must look at, not only where our passion lies, but also where there is a need. So if there is a need in the community, in the area, in the country, and see if our passion also fits into that, then when you get qualified, there is a job available there. But also the fact that if you start working during your holidays, getting to know people, people get to know you. What's very important also is that you must get involved in community activities. The more you get involved in community activities, whatever is happening around you, they're looking for volunteers, even the males. If there's a neighborhood watch, get involved in that. In whatever activity is happening, if you get involved, it will assist you in 2 ways. One is, again, it will give you experience, and secondly, people will get to know you. Right? And people get to know you, so your networking will increase. So when you're looking for a job, and even if generally you're not finding a job, people in that industry, in that particular occupation not finding a job, but you already made contact with doctors, lawyers, etc. in that particular field, it will make things easier for you. Right? So one is you must choose a profession or occupation where there is a need. Like I told you, that boy who decided to do environmental management, and then there was no work, so he gave it up. Right? So that's one of the ways in which you can do it. And secondly is work during your holidays, etc., even volunteer. Get experience, and sometimes what might happen is that particular occupation that you were hoping to do, if there's no opening there might be openings in something else that's related to it. So see what the alternatives are as well. Health sciences, there's so many things in health sciences that you can do. Right, so if you're good in maths, physics, etc., and you go the health sciences route, look at what the alternatives are. So the more questioning you do, the more you ask the experts. Like when we had all these sessions, almost every session I had a professional, isn't that so? That person came and spoke to you about a career. The last occasion we had that sister who spoke to you about, what was it called? Orthotics, right? People who use aids, who cannot walk and who arms might be broken, etc. Right? So that was a career. So speak to people in different occupations, find out more about it, and see where your passion really lies and where there's a need. So that's one way out. What are other things that come to your mind? What causes you concern? You might not be happy in your profession. That's a very important concern. So again, if we do these things, then there's no reason to be unhappy. So again, see where your passion lies, where your strength lies, etc. And you must always remember that you as young people, the millennials, you people will be moving from one job to the other on a regular basis. Studies have found. Whereas people my parents' age, they worked in one job for their entire lives, generally. My age, people would have worked 2 or 3 different jobs they might have for their entire life. People your age, or even your siblings who might be slightly older than you, you'll notice after every 2 or 3 years they're getting new jobs, isn't that so? And the same thing is going to happen to you. There's nothing wrong with it. One of the reasons why this will happen is because when you're working at a certain place and you realize you cannot learn anything more in this particular company, then you're going to be moving on. Nothing wrong with that. Sometime you might realize that you've reached the zenith, the height of where you can reach in this organization. So for your own improvement, you might go to a bigger company, another company where there's greater openings. Right? Nothing wrong with that. So, as I mentioned, your people's age, you people will be moving jobs about 8 to 10 to 12 jobs before you really settle down to a particular job. Nothing wrong with that. And all the experiences you'll pick up from all the different jobs will be very, very useful to you eventually. As he said, between 40 and 50, now you must do what you really want to do. Right? So there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Any other concerns you have? Right, now there's a self-assessment that I want you to do. We're going to begin with a list of what is inside you that would factor into your career choice. So this is also in the notes that I'm going to be giving you, which you can redo this exercise later on. But for our purpose, we've got 10 minutes, so let's do this exercise. So what I want you to do is write below these headings your talents and strengths. Just write down very quickly what your talents and strengths are. Your interests and passions, what are they? Community problem that intrigues you. What is happening out there in the community that really worries you, right? So write that down very quickly. Your past experience, what experiences do you have? Because we want you to choose the correct career. These are keys that will open up the doors to what your career should be. Industries that seem fascinating to you. Write it down, please. Desires that motivate you. What is it that's motivating you? Connections you have in your network. Again, see where you have the connections, then it'll make life easier for you. Courses or subjects you've taken in school. So subjects that you've taken. Maybe sometime you might realize that you want to do something, but the subjects that you're doing now will not allow you to do it. Right? So you've got a big problem. So just see what courses you're doing. What others have affirmed about you. So other people might say, hey, you know, Ahmed, I think you're very good at this. Aisha, I think this is something that you cut out for. So has anyone affirmed? Anyone has confirmed anything about you, where you might be good at? Opportunities in front of you. Are there opportunities? Is there a shortage of people in this particular field? Right, so just jot those things down before we proceed and answer them. Your talents and strengths. Jotted it down. Your interests and passions. Community problems that intrigue you. Your past experience, and so forth. Now what you'll notice from this is that there's certain things that seem to be common coming out of it. Right? Where your strengths are, where your passion, where there's things that are affecting the community, there's experience that you got in a particular field, your causes that you are doing, your subjects you're doing at the moment, lend themselves to that. So you'll notice, if you do this exercise properly and go home, in the next 48 hours, try and do it again, and you'll notice that all the answers are telling you something. They're leading you in a certain direction. And this will definitely assist you with regard to career choice. Right, so what you need to do also, build out the list above on a sheet of paper. Now, there might be other things, other factors that you might want to take into account in choosing a proper career. Take as much time as you need to respond to each of the 10 categories. Expand it. This could be the beginning of an X-ray that can guide your discussion and choices as you consider career. Because we said we need to do the X-ray first. We need to do the examination first. So this is the first part. As you reflect on your answers, do you see any trends or patterns? Are there topics you have written down that come up more than once? Do you see some common threads? Thirdly, when you finish, sit down and talk it over with an adult who knows you. What do they agree with on your list? Do they have any additions to the list? Do they disagree with anything you listed? What advice do they have for you? So this could be anyone who you have confidence in, could be your parents, elder siblings, it could be your teachers at school, anyone who you have confidence in. Sit down, and then they will be able to guide you as well. And now, what treatment makes sense? What steps should you take next? Right, so let's recap what we discussed. What was the topic of today's discussion? X-rays and surgeries. Before the doctor performs the surgery, what does he do? Right, there's 4 steps that have to be followed. First step, assess, make inquiries, ask questions, etc. Secondly, diagnose. Thirdly, prescribe what has to be done. And fourthly, the actual action that has to be taken, the surgery that has to be conducted. So similarly, in choosing your career, these are the 4 things you need to do. Firstly, you need to ask yourself this question, because we said that many of us don't know ourselves. Right? So when you ask yourself these questions, that's the first step you'll be taking. Secondly, having done that and you see there's some common trends and having people who know us to assist us, then you'll be able to diagnose what is good for us as far as the career is concerned. And thirdly, then we will prescribe, okay, this is my career that I should choose. These are the subjects that I have to have. These are the colleges, technicons, universities that I must go to. So that is now you are prescribing, and then you do it. Make sense? Okay, and what always makes sense is not always that is followed. So it might be common sense, and common sense is not always common. Common? Common sense is not always common practice. So what we've discussed is common sense, but now we need to practice it. Okay, are there any questions? Anything you don't understand? Anything you want to contribute? Okay, thank you very much.
When I was faced with hunger, not knowing where my next plate is going to come from, with all my education, with having achieved the door with my name on it, was useless for me at that particular time. I'm not saying that being educated is useless, but what I'm saying is that in life, you need more than education. You need the basic skills that makes you a human being, that makes you different from the monkeys, the baboons, whatever. The basic skills that can make you survive as a human being under any circumstances. Without that, you are just a person who has learned something from other people. But maybe in theory only. But when it comes to practice, you cannot do it. I decided in 2014 that I'm not going to take my situation and turn it to my lifetime. I'm going to do something about it. That is why I innovated the system that could grow vegetables anywhere. It is easy to use, it is water-wise, and what is most important, it expands land. It makes you able to grow more than 100 vegetables in this piece of table. You can be able to do that, which means a family of 3 can live on this table alone. And there will be no excuse to say, I don't have land. I know we've got a lot of controversy about land right now in our country. But what I'm saying is, while people are fighting out there, there is something we can do for ourselves. Because half the time people want a hectare, and yet they don't even have 2 spinach growing in their backyard. And it doesn't make any sense to me. God brings you in this life with resources, basic resources. And one of those is your mind. How you make it work, how you make it provide for your family, provide for your siblings, provide for whoever you care about, and even provide for the people that are out there that are destitute. When I was diagnosed with cancer, it was not an easy thing. I thought I was going to die. And all the while I was thinking, what will my family do after I'm gone? And through that system, today, I'm not feeding myself only. 603 households out there are eating, growing vegetables, and selling collectively, and able to buy things that they would normally not be able to buy. I'm working with 51 cooperatives, and those people now know that they can be able